global commodity trading, from energy, agriculture, minerals, all commodities, and how geopolitical challenge, regulatory shift and market volatility are impacting this industry.
The commodity trading of today, it's not the same as it used to be yesterday. And the IMO set up the rules and regulations for the whole shipping industry worldwide, especially the strategic metals and minerals, which are useful for batteries and to operate the energy transition.
So welcome to the inTrade podcast series. I'm Jérémy Gaspard, Vice President of Government and Trade Services with Intertech. And today we are going to explore the world of global commodity trading, from energy, agriculture, minerals, all commodities, and how geopolitical challenge, regulatory shift and market volatility are impacting this industry. So we are in Switzerland, home of Swiss Negos, the Swiss commodity trading and shipping industry representative. So we are with Florence today, Florence Church, who is the Secretary General of Swiss Negos, with us. So we are really pleased to have you today for this interesting interaction around the global commodity market. And today, for you, Florence, what are the key trends which are currently shaping global commodity and the overall trade and supply dynamics?
So thank you very much, Remy. Thank you for inviting me to your podcast. Actually, before answering your question, I will first present what Swiss Negos is. So as you mentioned, we are the Swiss Association of Commodity Traders and Charterers. And we have three main missions, which are first advertising and defending the interest of the industry toward the authorities.
Yes.
And create coalitions and to collaborate also with other trade and banking association in order to defend best the interest of the industry. Then secondly, we are launching a lot of new courses. Because what is important to keep the hub in Switzerland is really to have a specialized workforce and to have well-educated people and also polyglots who can speak many languages here in Switzerland. So we are collaborating with the University of Geneva on the master degree in commodity trading, but we also give education and training in our office. We are labelized Educa, which is the Swiss label for adult education. Okay. And we try really to create and to develop this workforce here in Switzerland. And then thirdly, I would say communication. And thank you very much for inviting me today, because it is exactly what we like to do, and one of our three mandates, it's really to advocate for the industry, to talk about the industry, and I would say beyond the border of the traders, really try to reach out to the public, to explain what is a commodity trader, what is the added value, what if everybody can drink a coffee every morning thanks to the trader. So it's really to try to explain that to the public and to demystify the job. Yes.
Once again, what are the key trends that you currently see as shaping the global commodity trading and shipping and the overall supply chain dynamics?
Well, these last years, actually, we faced a lot of different things, and that's true. The commodity trading of today, it's not the same as it used to be yesterday. I would say for the last 5 years, we could see a reshaping of the commodity trading, especially first due to sanctions, yes. The sanctions against Russia that traders in Switzerland totally support, and we have witnesses a rerouting or reorganization of the supply chain in order to supply countries with cereals which are not coming from Russia, with oil which is not coming from Russia, with LNG, gas, etc., etc. So that is a main impact on the day-to-day work of the commodity traders. Then I would say all the ESG requirements, even though nowadays starting to step down the criteria that they had, they realize that it is complicated for companies to implement all that, and in order for companies to remain competitive, it's difficult for company to be able to implement all that, especially for SMEs, and remaining competitive. Time and cost, absolutely. But even though the requirements are stepping down, still the banks are asking a lot of things, and without the banks, commodity traders cannot operate. So it's very important that they can fulfill the requirement of the banks, and especially on calculating the carbon emission or having a social responsibility, and especially in the countries where they operate, etc., etc.
No, makes a lot of sense.
And I would say lastly, all the decarbonization, because as you know, more or less 90% of all raw materials and goods are transported by boat, by vessels. The shipping industry continue to decarbonize, and Swiss Negos is member of the Swiss delegation to the IMO. IMO, it is International Maritime Organization. It is located in London, and the IMO set up the rules and regulations for the whole shipping industry worldwide. So we are working very closely with the Swiss government on how the shipping industry, and especially for charter, how can we reduce the GHG emissions? How can we reduce the CO2 emissions in the shipping industry?
No, yeah, so you touched already on several points that we are going to cover today, so really insightful, and I'm glad that we are making this together today. So as you know, global trade in strategic commodities such as energy, grains, rice are facing increasing pressure in the recent year due to geopolitical challenges, as you mentioned before, market disruptions, shifting trade route, as you mentioned before. India remains the world's largest rice exporter and continues to play a vital role into the overall supply of food around the world. So while in some regions, for example, across the Middle East and Africa, countries have temporarily stopped import or export. They limit their export to focus on their in-house market. And this is really to protect the local supply chain and stabilize the price. So how have these evolving dynamics influenced global supply pattern, and what do you think is the role of Switzerland in maintaining stability and confidence in the trade of these essential commodities?
I would divide it into two categories. Okay. So first, there is the metals and minerals, and especially the strategic metals and minerals, which are useful for batteries and to operate the energy transition. So that's exactly what you said, Jeremy. Many countries which are producing, they have mines and producing these kind of metals are more and more monitoring their exports. So you can be a country can totally forbid the export of certain metals and keep it for themselves, and other countries export a few, and they all monitor that. So these geopolitical issues or challenge, I would say, are regulated state to government to government. So the traders has absolutely no influence on which country export what to which country. Then, if you want, they buy nickel from Indonesia and they export it somewhere else in another country. But when there is a demand and when there is a need, we go there and we buy their raw material and we export somewhere else. But then it is government to government which they decide the bilateral agreements on specific metals, on strategic metals, or to forbid the exportation, for instance. Then there is the other thing, which is the agribusiness, or the soft commodities, the way we call them, which are the agriculture, cereals, cotton, coffee, cocoa, etc. And that is absolutely right. Some countries are building some reserves, and to keep the cereals, either they are producing countries, so they keep certain cereals for themselves and export what they have, the rest they have, or they are importing countries, and they try to make reserve by importing more and to store it. Actually, Switzerland do the same with coffee, for instance. We have a federal reserve for coffee. In case of war, at least all our soldiers will have to be able to drink coffee.
Okay, interesting. And what do you think, really makes Switzerland a preferred base for global trading companies, and how does Swiss Negos support responsible and competitive trade?
As you know, the traders, they work in a complex world with geopolitics. So what they like is at least to have their company based in somewhere very stable.
Yes.
And
stability is critical.
Yeah, the stability of Switzerland, the stability of the laws, the stability of the labor laws and things like that make Switzerland attractive. Then the second thing I would say is, as I said before, it is really the workforce. Because in Switzerland, there are people, employees who are specialized in commodity trading. And actually, lately, we've seen some companies coming to Switzerland because of that.
Yes, I saw it's coming back, so that's very good.
Yes, because they try to operate somewhere else, and they realize that they cannot hire the person specialized on commodity trading. So finally, they move to Switzerland, where you have the hub and you have all the employees who really master this industry. And then finally, I would say, and might be even the most important, are the banks. Because a commodity trader cannot operate without having the banks financing their operation. And we don't talk about a few millions, we talk about a few hundred of millions. So the commodity trader, they need a lot of liquidity, they need to operate. Just to give you an example, a vessel full of cereals, it's between 60 million, 80 million, depending on the price of the cereals. And SMEs might maybe charter one a month, but multinationals, they charter hundreds of months. So you imagine, they are making huge volumes. So do you imagine how much they need as liquidity in order to finance these operations? So without the banks, the commodity traders, they cannot operate. So it's really important for them to be close to their bankers, and for the bankers, it's important to be close to their traders. And in Geneva, actually, it has been invented the way to finance, to be able to let hundreds of millions for a very short time. Yes. Because the traders, they need maybe, as I said, between 60 or 80 million to charter a vessel, but only for 3 weeks. Yes. And this system of lending big amount of money just for 3 weeks has been invented by the banks here in Geneva.
Long-term expertise.
Yeah. And that's also why in the German part of Switzerland, commodity trading is not so much known, because the banks in Zurich, they don't have this expertise. Okay. This expertise is really a specificity of the banks in Geneva.
Okay. Very interesting. So we touched the bank, we touch the chartering, the shipping topic, but now we have another priority, which is around traceability and responsible sourcing. And these are now critical for managing sanction, ESG expectation, and overall, the consumer trust. That's the number one priority at the moment, particularly for strategic commodities. So how is Swiss Negos today helping members enhance traceability compliance and transparency across this complex global supply chain. Because we are not only talking about Europe or Africa or Middle East or Southeast Asia, we are talking about this global landscape that is really, really tight and difficult to comply with.
So the way we support our members is really to organize workshops and to organize training courses, because as an association we are not in the daily business of the companies.
Correct.
And we don't interfere in their daily business. Our job is mostly to let them know what are the regulations, what are the framework regulations, in order for them to remain compliant with that. So we support them by informing them on new regulations adopted by Switzerland. We support them by giving them, as I said, workshops and training course, etc. For instance, in 2020, the Swiss people voted on RBI,
yes,
the Responsible Business Initiative.
Correct.
And actually the initiative didn't pass, however the counter project launched by the government passed. And the counter project requires a few things that companies has to be compliant with. And in 21 and 22, Swiss Negos, we organize a lot of workshop also with the Swiss government, to make sure SMEs understand how to be compliant, all the report that they should produce and all the requirement that they should produce. So that's what we do to support the members.
Yeah. Excellent, thank you. So we touch about traceability, we touch about responsible sourcing. Let's look at innovation and digital innovation overall. So innovation in the way of commodities are traded are verified. ATIC companies, testing, inspection, certification like inTrade, have introduced technologies such as inTrade to trace honey from the bee to the final yogurt of the user. We have developed supply tech as well, this all trade facilitation solution, and we are offering data-driven solution transforming assurance and digital traceability. So how do you see today innovation and digital assurance shaping the future of responsible global trade?
Well, I think it's key. It's really the key of the commodity trading, yes, because it comes from the consumers. Because today the consumer, they want to drink coffee, they want to know where the coffee comes from and how it has been transported, etc., etc. Or even though big brand, if I take the example of a furniture brand, which say that their furniture are totally sustainable, but then that means not only they have to plant trees in the producing country, but also to make sure that the ship on what the furniture were transported are also sustainable, otherwise it wouldn't make sense. So the consumers and the brands are requiring more and more to have the traceability. And that's where companies such as inTrade are super important in all this traceability, because as you mentioned the example with the honey that, yes, you developed, very interesting, but it exists also the traceability for cotton, for instance, or for coffee, or for metals, etc. And I even know that there are possibility to have the traceability of gold. Yes. And that's also very interesting, especially with commodities which can be melted and then recreated, because that's where traceability, like honey, yes, that's where traceability is the most difficult. To operate.
So as sustainability, digitalization and shifting demand are redefining global trade, confidence and integrity remain the foundation of progress, if we can put it that way. So what is your outlook for the future of commodity trading, and how can the industry continue to trade with confidence in a really rapidly and changing world?
Well, I think traceability and innovation are very important to build the trust. 5 years ago we faced a lot of fraud, and banks have lost huge money, and traders as well, and so with the innovation, it helps trace the whole supply chain, and it is very important. For instance, the electronic bill of lading. You know, the bill of lading, it is the ownership of the goods which is on a ship. And until today, this bill of lading are sent by a FedEx.
Yes.
And it is totally unsecure. And because there is just one bill of lading, and usually the bank has a bill of lading in order to prove that they are the owner of the goods on the ship. But that is sure, to have an electronic bill of lading would be much easier. Okay, maybe it doesn't make happy FedEx and DHL, but at least
It's the evolution.
the evolution, and at least we have more security by the innovation. And that is something we are working on, because we have to change the law in Switzerland, for instance, in order for the banks to be able to recognize a bill of lading electronically. Singapore and London, which are our most concurrent hubs, already changed their law, so we have to keep on that in order to be to catch up. Thank you. In order to be up to date with that.
Okay, excellent. So thank you, Florence. So as we have heard today, you know, trading commodities with confidence require transparency, innovation, and collaboration. So Switzerland, alongside, as you mentioned before, global hubs like London, Dubai, or Singapore, you know, continue to lead by example and to ensure that global trade remains responsible, reliable, and resilient. So stay tuned for more inTrade conversation, where we continue exploring how governments, industries, and assurance partners are shaping the future of sustainable global trade, powered by Intertech Supply Tech.